What's going on, guys? Chris here with Nerd Crossroads, and today we are going to be doing a review type thing on the Canon M50 as a vlogging camera and a photography camera. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so here's what we're looking at. The Canon M50 as a vlogging slash photography camera. This is actually my first real camera, per se. I've had a couple other smaller ones, but nothing to ever really do any kind of like video or anything with. So I went and got this one. So the EOS Canon M50 is part of their mirrorless line, and it is, I believe, the smallest camera with interchangeable lenses in their mirrorless line. And just overall, me personally, it's a great camera. I've never really done much with anything else, but I have, seen a lot of footage. I've got friends that have other cameras, and I like this one. So these normally range right around $600 now. And that gets you the base, as well as the lens. And I believe there's two lenses you can choose from, but I chose the 15 to 45, not sure if you can see it, 15 to 45 lens, just because I thought that would be the best lens for me for blogging and photography, at least to start with. So we'll start with what it does as far as vlogging and video is concerned. So it does your basic 720p. It actually does that in 120 frames per second if you were looking to do some slow-mo stuff, which looks okay. I haven't personally messed with it yet, but I have seen a lot of other channels mess with it. It does look pretty good. It's also got 1080 in 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, and I think even 24 frames per second, if I'm not mistaken. It also does 4K at 30 frames per second, which is pretty good. It does have a slight crop factor. It's actually got two if you're using 4K. It has the crop factor because it is not a full frame camera. So you've got that going for you, as well as, I can't get my lens back on, as well as the crop filter for the 4K. Now, I don't personally use the 4K. I just don't. I think 1080p looks good for now, because a lot of people that are watching these are on their phone, and their phones might not be capable of 4K, or you can't really notice on a phone. So I don't mess with 4K for now. This also does, kind of getting along with the video portion, it does have a time-lapse mode in this, which works pretty good. It's got 3 settings that you can go through with different intervals, and it's also got a custom setting, so you can customize whatever you want to do. The only problem with the time-lapse on this camera is the shutter speed will not go down while it's in time-lapse mode between, I believe, 1/30. I think that's the lowest. So you don't get a lot of motion blur in there, but it's okay. And if you were looking to get those kind of time lapses, I believe that the little external remote that can do time lapses on other cameras can be used on this one. I'm not 100% sure though. So one of the best things for vlogging on this camera is not only the weight and the size, but the fact that this screen, flip it out, it's to the side, so it does not interfere. I'll show you guys. So it does not interfere with the microphone at all, or the tripod, because other cameras will either flip up or flip down, and I just think that's impractical. So this is a great feature of this camera, and I use it more than I use the regular screen. It also does have a viewfinder if you were looking, if you did need that. So for these mirrorless cameras, it takes a special kind of lens. They take a EF-M lens, which is just for Canon's mirrorless line. Now, for right now, and this may change, the mirrorless lenses are limited. I believe there's only 5 or 6 right now. The basic one, like I said, is the 15 to 45. And just starting out, it's really all you need. As I said, the lens selection is not great with these, but it gets the job done if you're just looking for this. Now, the solution to that, they do make an adapter, which I do not have yet, but it will be one of the things I'm buying here soon, that you can fit any EF Canon lens on it. So you can get all your favorite Canon lenses to fit on a mirrorless camera, and they work great. Also, if those lenses do have autofocus and image stabilization, the adapter does allow you to use those features. For photography, this camera is pretty good. It's got a lot of features in there, a lot of different modes. It's very user-friendly for any kind of photography you're doing, especially if you're just starting out. It's a nice, small camera to get started. I will say, if you are getting into professional photography, you might want to get a camera a little more geared for this. Geared for this. Just because I think Canon made this mainly for vloggers and a small camera for video. So just to get into the downsides of this camera, even though this list is short because there's not many, my biggest problem with this camera so far is the battery life. So this camera takes the LP E12 battery, which only gives you about 30 minutes of video battery life. And if you're taking pictures, that really varies depending on how you're using it, how often your camera is awake. But there is sleep features inside the camera that will allow you to save on battery life a little. Also, you can buy more batteries. I will say, because this video is not sponsored by Canon, I wouldn't go buy the Canon batteries. If you go on Amazon, Amazon has Amazon Choice batteries. I don't have them yet. A good friend of mine does. And he says that they work just as well, but they are a quarter of the price. They also come with 2 in a pack and a dual charger, which is great. This camera does have an external mic port, which you can hook any microphone up to. I recommend a Rode mic, and it does work great. It is a little hard to get out of there, mainly because I bite my nails, so I don't have any nails to get up in there, but once it's open, it works. It also does have an HDMI port and a micro USB port if you did want to plug this camera into your computer or even your TV to view things. As well as external monitors if you choose to go that route, which I would highly recommend. My last downside with this camera is that there is no micro USB charging. So all you have is this battery. There's no way to plug it into an external power source if you did want to do other things. Which leads into one more small thing, is this camera will only record 30 minutes of video at a time, even though that really is the only battery life you get. I will say that this is my first real camera, and I'm still new to YouTube, and just first impressions of this were amazing. And now that I've been able to use it for about 3 or 4 months now, it is a great camera, and I have very little complaints aside from those few things that I mentioned. One last thing I do want to mention is this does also have the feature that can connect it to your phone, which will allow you to transfer photos and videos directly onto your phone if you need that feature. So just want to touch on one thing. I've said it in videos before, and I'll say it again. You do not need fancy equipment to film videos. You don't need a $2,000 camera. Like I said, this is $600, and you don't even need this. This entire video, as well as one of my previous videos, was filmed on my phone, and my first couple videos were actually filmed on my phone as well. The audio is coming out of the phone, the video, it all works pretty good. Phones nowadays film in 1080p, some even in 4K. I know mine is capable of 4K video. So you really don't need a camera. But if you are serious about YouTube or photography, a camera is definitely an investment that you want to look into. If you are interested in this camera or even the Rode video mic that I use, the links to those are down in the description below. So you go ahead, go check those out. This also comes in 2 different colors. I should mention, it's not only black, but it does come in white as well. I just went with the black camera just because I preferred it. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. The links to all my social media is down below. Go ahead down there, click them, click follow, click like. And as always, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.